Good morning. Here is your global news report for April 16, 2026. The international situation is currently characterized by multiple key points of tension. In the Middle East, Iran's military presence and diplomatic efforts are in a delicate balance, while the war in Ukraine continues to pressure the Russian economy and reshape international alliances, particularly between Russia and China, and the United States and Cuba. Simultaneously, Donald Trump's influence, both within and outside the US, remains significant, bringing tangible ripple effects to international politics and alliances. Global Topic 1: Relations surrounding the Middle East situation and Iran remain tense. While discussions of an Iran blockade and peace agreement are ongoing, despite an Iran ceasefire, the United States has dispatched 10,000 additional troops to the Middle East, and demands 4 stricter nuclear inspections have been made. Furthermore, in South America, the Iran war is cited as a contributing factor to domestic economic issues. Global Topic 2: The war in Ukraine and its impact on the Russian economy and international relations continue to be reported. Domestically in Russia, headlines suggest that the Russian economy will not recover even if the Ukraine war ends, and there are mentions of the economy falling below forecasts. Meanwhile, the United States believes that Cuba has assisted Russia in recruiting soldiers. Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov has pledged energy support to China, and Ukrainian drones have reportedly targeted petrochemical plants. Global Topic 3: Donald Trump's political influence and U.S. political developments are drawing international attention. In the United States, reports include the dismissal of FRB Chairman Powell and a meeting with King Charles, while in Europe, questions are being raised about what the Save America Act means for U.S. democracy. In Asia-Oceania, there are movements to celebrate Independence Day with cars featuring photos of Trump, and in South America, Trump has turned his attention to Prime Minister Maloney, impacting international defense deals. Next, here are the key stories from the U.S. The United States has fully implemented a blockade of Iranian ports, dealing a significant blow to its economic activities. Domestically, former President Trump has hinted at the dismissal of the FRB chairman, and while an official visit from the British King is scheduled, a prominent U.S. company has announced a bold business pivot into the AI sector, showcasing a wide range of developments. Major News 1: The U.S. Central Command announced that the blockade of Iranian ports has been fully implemented, halting an estimated 90% of Iran's maritime trade and economic activities within 36 hours. The U.S. has also expressed a positive stance on the possibility of peace negotiations with Iran. Major News 2: Former President Donald Trump has stated his intention to dismiss FRB Chairman Jerome Powell if he does not resign at the end of his term next month. This is reportedly related to a Justice Department investigation into Powell. Major News 3: British King Charles III and Queen Camilla are scheduled for an official visit to the U.S. from April 27 to 30th, where they will meet with President Donald Trump and address Congress. This visit occurs at a delicate time for the special relationship between the U.S. and the U.K. Next, here are the key stories from Europe. In Europe, significant developments are occurring on both domestic and foreign policy fronts, including measures to combat abuse of the UK's asylum system, rising fuel costs for British charities due to the Iran war, and political discussions in Wales regarding a deep space radar project with the United States. Major News 1: In the UK, Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood has pledged to apply the full force of the law and take measures against fake lawyers who exploit the asylum system, as revealed by a BBC investigation. Major News 2: Due to the Iran war, fuel costs for the UK's Midland Air Ambulance have doubled, placing a strain on the charity's finances. The Gulf region accounts for approximately 50% of Europe's aviation fuel imports, and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz is impacting fuel prices. Major News 3: Wales First Minister Eluned Morgan has urged the UK government to halt the Deep Space Radar Station project with the United States at Cotter Barracks in Pembrokeshire, citing Donald Trump's contempt. Next, here are the key stories from the Middle East. Tensions between Iran and the United States continue, and Israeli citizens are dissatisfied with the ceasefire. The U.S. has decided to send additional troops to the Middle East, and insurance premiums for the Strait of Hormuz have also soared. Major News 1: While the U.S. and Israel have struck Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile capabilities, they have not succeeded in seizing highly enriched uranium. President Trump has repeatedly stated that he will not recognize Iran's possession of nuclear weapons. Major news 2, in Israel, 61% of citizens oppose the US-Iran ceasefire agreement, and Prime Minister Netanyahu faces backlash against the ceasefire. Despite this, the US plans to deploy over 10,000 additional troops to the Middle East, 6,000 of whom will be on the USS George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier, by the end of April. Major news 3, despite the US blockade of Iranian ports, there has been no significant change in traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, with at least 8 vessels, including 3 Iran-related, passing through. Meanwhile, war insurance premiums for the strait have surged to 1 to 7.5% of vessel value. Saudi Arabia has also approved its 2026 to 2030 PIF strategy and announced an additional $3 billion in aid to Pakistan. Next, here are the key stories from Russia. A tax evasion organization worth 1 trillion rubles has been busted, and President Putin has expressed concern over the economy falling below forecasts. Meanwhile, VPN regulations have been tightened, and drone attacks by Ukraine on domestic facilities have also been reported. Major news 1, Russia's FSB security agency and the investigative committee announced the bust of a large-scale tax evasion organization that used thousands of shell companies to claim over 1 trillion rubles, approximately $13.2 billion, in fraudulent deductions, arresting several individuals. Major news 2, President Putin has demanded explanations from the government and the central bank regarding the Russian economy's performance falling below forecasts this year. Following a 1.8% year-on-year decrease in GDP in January and February, he requested emergency measures to restore growth. Major news 3, as the Russian government tightens internet control, websites such as Ozon and Kinopoisk have begun blocking VPN users. Additionally, Ukrainian drones attacked a petrochemical plant in the Republic of Bashkortostan, reporting 1 fatality. Next, here are the key stories from China. China has seen active movements on both economic and diplomatic fronts, including an appreciation of the yuan's benchmark rate against the US dollar, strengthened diplomatic relations with major countries, and the announcement of new policies to enhance trade transparency. Major news 1, Chinese President Xi Jinping met with Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov on April 15, urging closer and stronger strategic cooperation to protect the legitimate interests of both countries and maintain the unity of global South nations. Major news 2, on April 14, China began the online release of 2,613 national standards translated into foreign languages such as English, Russian, and French, aiming to reduce trade barriers and improve transparency. Major news 3, on April 15, the benchmark rate for the Chinese yuan, renminbi, against the US dollar rose by 11 pips to $1 equals 6.8582 yuan. Next, here are the key stories from Japan. The Japanese government has set a target of a 30% global market share for self-driving cars and is considering easing regulations on bank investments in cutting-edge companies. Daiichi Sankyo will sell its over-the-counter drug business to focus on the cancer field. Additionally, the father of a boy found dead in Kyoto has been arrested. Major news 1, the Japanese government plans to present a goal of achieving a 30% global market share in self-driving vehicle sales by the 2030s, promoting AI development related to autonomous driving at a meeting of the Japan Growth Strategy Council on the 16th. Major news 2, Daiichi Sankyo announced on the 15th that it will sell its over-the-counter drug business, Daiichi Sankyo Healthcare, to Suntory Holdings, and concentrate its investments in the growth area of cancer treatment. Major news 3, in connection with the case of a boy's body found in Nantan City, Kyoto Prefecture, the prefectural police arrested Yuki Adachi, 37, on the 16th on suspicion of abandoning a corpse, for allegedly hiding the body of Yui Adachi, 11, in a forest. He has admitted to the charges. Next, here are the key stories from Asia-Oceania. In the Asia-Oceania region, significant developments have been observed in various countries, including concerns over energy security in Indonesia, AI regulations in Singapore, and measures against disinformation in Malaysia. Major news 1, Indonesia's state-owned electricity company PLN has warned of a dangerous reliance on imported energy due to the global surge in liquefied natural gas, LNG, prices. Major news 2, Singapore is actively considering the introduction of an AI nutrition label to make AI systems understandable to users, as proposed by Minister for Digital Development and Information, Josephine Teo. Major news 3, the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, is investigating an individual for spreading false information regarding diesel fuel shipments to the Philippines and has seized communication equipment. Next, here are the key stories from South America. In South America, there have been numerous swan deaths due to avian influenza in Chile. Flavio Bolsonaro is leading in opinion polls for the Brazilian presidential election, and a territorial dispute over the Strait of Magellan has erupted between Chile and Argentina. Major news 1, over 60 black swans have died from H5N1 avian influenza at Lake Booty in the Araucanía region of southern Chile, prompting a health alert across the region. Major news 2, a new opinion poll, conducted by Quast, for the Brazilian presidential election shows Flavio Bolsonaro leading President Lula da Silva by 2 points, 42% to 40%, marking the first time he has taken the lead in a runoff scenario. Major news 3, Rear Admiral Hernán Montero, head of the hydrographic service of the Argentine Navy, stated that parts of the Strait of Magellan, particularly its mouth, belong to Argentina, sparking a fierce territorial dispute in Chile. That concludes today's Global News Report. Have a great day. Thank you for watching.